Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a spiritual download for you guys. So before I get into it though, I do want to say a few things. Number one, today is my birthday. Um yes, I was born 22 years ago on July 21st. So anyways, with that being said, I'm sick as well, unfortunately. um I have, yeah, I'm probably gonna randomly get up from this video to sneeze or to cough or something, so yep. So in addition to that as well, I also felt inspired to, so a while ago, like a few nights ago, not a few nights ago, like at least a month-ish or less than a month. What is time? Time is irrelevant. Time is what's the word? Relevant, I meant to say, to the individual, right? Didn't Einstein say that? So anyway, I don't even remember like when exactly this was, but at some point in my life I had a spiritual download, because it felt like a spiritual download. It felt like I was receiving information that I could not explain where I was receiving it from. This is kind of how intuition works, right? We just know things. We don't know how we know things or why we know things to be true. Sometimes our subconscious mind receives certain signals, right? And from that, we make assumptions or have feelings and then just, ride them out, right? Like we see where these feelings will take us. And what I mean by that is like, I don't know. I'm not even trying to get deep into like why I know this to be a spiritual download. It's just how I perceive it. So, and then one other disclaimer I do want to make is I am human. I am a fallible creature, meaning I don't know everything that there is to know about life. I don't know, honestly, when it comes to the things that I know and the things that are out there, I probably know like 1%. And that's me being generous of all of the information that exists in this universe. And I know a lot. So that's saying a lot. But with that being said, please take it as you will. This is how I perceive Spirit's origin story. Okay, I don't think a lot of people think about Spirit's origin story. I do. I'm one of those people. Um, and I'll explain what I mean by that. But before I get into that, I also want to say, for those of you who are curious of what I mean by spirit, I mean it to be, for me, it's God. Because I grew up like Christian. This is like a little, I guess, amulet maybe of baby Mary or of Mary and baby Jesus. You can barely see it, but do you see her carrying him? Anyway, I grew up Christian, so I perceive spirit to be God, but I also am aware that spirit is literally just about any, in most religions, it's like the higher power. It's also known as source, right? And spirit goes by many different names. And it makes sense too when you think about it. Like back in the day, people went by many different names, right? And even now, people still have many different names. Like one person could be called a ton of different things, but still be known as that person. Um, so, with that being said, this is what I received like weeks ago. So I believe spirit's origin story to begin, before the planets existed. I feel like space used to be empty. Like when we look at the sky, we see stars, but this is a time when there were no stars in the sky and there were no planets in the sky either. There was just literally nothing for who knows how long. And in space, I feel like time does not work the same way it does on Earth, right? The reason why time exists, I feel like the way that we accurately, or the way that we perceive it to be now, is because the planet rotates. So we see the sun for like a certain amount of time, depending on where you are. And then we see the moon for a certain amount of time, depending on where you are. But it's somewhere supposed to be like roughly like, maybe like 8 hours of sunlight and then the rest is like dark. But So then that's how time works for us. That's how we perceive time as earthlings, because of the rotation of the planet. But if we lived in a different planet, I'm sure we would perceive time differently. And I feel like in space, time literally just does not exist. Like, it is just, I don't know, I feel like it's simpler or maybe more complex. You just exist. And that's it. There's, I don't know, I mean, like, anyway. So, right. Excuse me, I'm like really ill. I feel like I've said that one too many times, but I hope like we get the point. So that doesn't make what I'm saying any less true or not. It just means like I sniffle a lot more, and if you see snot dripping down my nose, keep it to yourself. Anyway, um, so Spirit's origin story. I don't know. It suddenly came to me. I'm one of those people that I would love to get to know everybody on a really deep and personal level. Um, you think I would have Scorpio on my chart, but I don't actually. I'm just a Cancer. But um, especially, I'm just the type of person that's like, if someone's gonna help me out, I mean, like, I like to get to know them better. And seeing how I align with Spirit's path for me, it just makes sense that I want to get to know Spirit better. So maybe that's why I received this information. And yeah, I mean, I try not to really think too deep into it because I will never really understand why I thought this about this one day. But it feels true to me. And that's all that really matters. And I'm just spreading this information out there in case people were meant to watch this video and then, find out more about Spirit from my perspective. I really want to suggest this one more time. Like, this is just how I perceive things. And what I'm about to say aligns with like some like biblical beliefs of how the universe was started, how it began. And also like I'm sure there are other creation stories of how planet Earth came, and this is just one of those that align well, but this is from my perspective. So, or this is how I am perceiving information. So right, Spirit was the consciousness of the universe before the universe had stars and planets, and after as well. Spirit is this all-knowing everything being, and it is a consciousness. A consciousness. It has thoughts and emotions, but does not have a physical being. And Spirit, existing in the timelessness and foreverness of space, because it does not have bodies, because it does not have a body, it can exist forever. Most likely had a thought one day, and I feel like we all as beings have this same thought. Is this all that exists out there for me? Also, I just saw the numbers 818, which I have been intentionally trying to manifest this like set of numbers, right? Like I've been trying to enter like 888 energy. Because that's the number of abundance. But 818 is like the number of abundance as well as new beginnings. Your girl is trying to glow the fuck up. Your girl is trying to like go far in this lifetime, and I feel like one way I can do that is by trying to manifest these set of numbers. But anyway, with that being said, I actually make music. I make music, but I make it alone. Like I don't have like legit software. But this shit still smacks, considering they're free beats off of YouTube. They're in my SoundCloud, so I am allowed to use them. And anyway, yeah, go check them out. It's gonna be in the description box. You'll see real talent if you're curious what it sounds like when a singer sings with no autotune, and makes all of it up. Like I made the lyrics, I didn't make the beat. But and also I have like no training, like no musical training whatsoever. Everything I've ever created art wise was based off of intuition, and that's how I know it is a gift, like a spiritual gift or a gift from Spirit, because it's out there for you to see. and I went through a lot of shit. So you can hear that as well. You can hear the healing and the pain that I went through in order to gain these gifts. And the messages are the reason why I have these gifts in the first place. So check them out if you feel called to. But it will be linked in the description below. So back to what I was talking about. So Spirit's origin story. So yeah, Spirit had this thought. I felt like it was a thought or a feeling of, is this all that exists there in this world? Is it just me? Am I the only thing here? And with those feelings or with those thoughts, eventually Spirit, I feel like, got an idea to create life. And the way that Spirit creates life is centering energy in a place, right? Like a planet is created when energy, like, because I mean, like, I don't know, but anyway. So what I visualized, what I felt, what I heard was like energy was collecting in an area, and then it started, then life happened on its own. 11:11. Life occurred on its own. Like energy starts to form in space, and then things start to, like, it absorbs things. Like, like it's like reaching out, grabbing air particles or something. Like eventually, on its own, it starts to expand. Mind you, Spirit, waiting for life to happen, probably waited millions of years or like thousands of years for things to occur, right? For life to come into motion. And even when life started to be formed, Spirit most likely could not make a personal connection with most of the beings that life, at the very beginning of life, had to create. And this is how Spirit, like oh my god, ew, I saw 12:12. No, it's the way I'm so sick. Yo, I got COVID in 2023. Damn. It just goes to show we still need to be careful out there. Anyways, so like the fuck I was saying, because I'm losing my train of thought. So life is creating itself. It's a process that starts on its own once Spirit gives a little bit of its time and a little bit of its energy. Life begins to form on its own. Like, it's the kind of how I'm visualizing it. Like, I feel like Spirit creates the sun to a galaxy, to a galaxy, and then the rest happens on its own, gradually over thousands of years. Or maybe Spirit will come in and like help out to create other planets. But the formula necessary for life, which I believe are like fire, water, air, and wind, like fire, water, air, and earth. These are like the 4 elements necessary to create life. The how those elements come into being, I feel like, or how they manifest, I feel like, are unpredictable even to Spirit. Like, Spirit wouldn't know when creating a new planet exactly where things would need to be in this new solar system for life, like the one on Earth, to be created again. I mean, I just feel like it's really, really random. And no one can predict the future, including Spirit. Like, this is how it's like coming to me. I don't think like destiny is like a set thing in time and space, though you may have a probability of creating certain things. Like, I feel like certain personality types, like mine, for example, I remember reading some shit that like actually like deeply disturbed my peace. But it was something like either my personality type or something about people like me, excuse me, people who act like me or people who like sound like me or just something like that, right? There's something about my essence that apparently is commonly found in occult leaders. And I was like, personally, I felt disrespected. I was like, why the fuck? But then like I had to realize I actually am really persuasive. Like, not to expose myself, but I'm exposing myself. Because like, why not? Like, what do I have to lose about being honest? Like, I have a personality where I'm very likable, I'm very trustworthy, But here's the thing. I choose to use my energy for the goodness of the universe, okay? For the goodness of myself, for the highest good of a collective. Like, I choose to align myself with higher vibrational energy, which is why I receive the blessings that I do. And also why I went through some of the shit that I went through. But just as easily as I can align with the light, I can also align with the dark. And many people choose to align with darker energies because they are more comfortable. Okay, a lot of us have existed in darker energies probably longer than we have in the light. It's almost painful to be in the light. Unless you're ready to embrace it completely and fully for what it is. But a lot of us also project the darkness onto the light. Like, we think, because healing is not inherently comfortable. Healing sometimes looks like you talking about one of the worst things that's ever happened to you. And most times, other than that, when we experience awful tragedies, we do not like to talk about it. Um, Also, when I said that, I saw the numbers 1555. So, anyways, we as a collective, and then just as beings in general, like, it's hard to talk about the things that make us feel uncomfortable. So whenever that happens, people just like to steer away from them, entering darker energies as a result, projecting onto the light that it was dark when actually it was light. Anyway, doesn't make sense, doesn't need to make sense. That's just how some people perceive shit. Anyway, back to Spirit's origin story. So, also I feel a little weird because I feel like I'm talking on the behalf of Spirit, but that's kind of how things work. Spirit, you channel Spirit. Spirit can't just like show up in front of you. You know what I mean? Like a regular dude could just show up in front of you, if that makes sense. Although I also have a feeling that Spirit is not inherently feminine or masculine. It is both energies, though it is divine masculine and divine feminine. But I think for many of us, we do not have positive masculine energies around us. So like, what I mean by that is like in order to understand what divine masculinity is supposed to be, excuse me, anyway, in order to understand how divine masculine energy works, I feel like Spirit shows up in divine masculine energy to teach us this is what it's supposed to look like. So we know. But I don't know, that just popped into my head, thought I explained it. So right, so um right, so basically, yeah, like for probably millions of years, Spirit was alone, felt isolated, felt very alone until beings like humans showed up. I'm sure you're not at all like the very first of beings to show up. Does that make sense? Like, our planet is not. I feel like we're one of the newer planets, in this galaxy. Um, but there are new planets being made like every day, or something like that. There are new solar systems appearing every day. This universe is infinite. But there are just a lot of different things out there, and there are a lot of different beings, some that align with the light, some that align with the darkness. But this is something Spirit has come to understand: free will. I feel like there probably was an era of Spirit's existence where I'm just guessing here, where like Spirit tried to show up as light in every being's life, but the Spirit does not have a tangible body and exists solely in the 5D, where energy exists. Spirit cannot help unless you allow Spirit to help you. And this has remained true for probably millions upon billions of years. So it is easy for dark energies to tempt us. It is very easy because darkness exists, I feel like, better in the 3D than in the 5D. And this is why we lose our way. And God is real. It's just that God can't help you unless you help yourself. God can't help you unless you open your heart up to God. It's just always been like that. The only way God can bless you is if you choose to allow God to bless you. And it's funny that it sounds like that, but it's so true. Like if you choose to align with energies that are more resonant with the devil, then you are going to receive the devil's blessings, which are not actual blessings. They're like double-edged swords. Um, you know what I mean? Like, I gotta go blow my nose. I'll be back. And then back. Boy, am I sick or what? Okay, excuse me. So back to what I was talking about. So yeah, spirit's origin story. So yeah, like for real, God can't help you unless you help yourself. And also as souls, we choose to walk this life independent of God. Like as in like not independent per se, but just like we choose to have human experiences. Right, like we choose to know what suffering is on the 3D level. And I'm sure like there's more to it, but I mean, I feel like there's more I could say about this topic. I'm just very unsure if I can trust the information, which is my own thing that I have to deal with, right? Like I have to sort of like sit here and accept. I'm learning how to trust myself unconditionally, which is it's not easy. It's not easy to trust yourself unconditionally because then you have to experience the consequences of trusting yourself unconditionally. But I feel like there's more I could say on this topic. For real, there is information even now still coming to me that I did not have access to when I first had this spiritual download, but it is coming to me now. Also, 2222, and before I saw 1818. I've been seeing synchronicities and just haven't really been saying anything because, again, it is hard to trust yourself. But, like, I feel like Earth is some kind of, like, testing ground. Of all the planets, I feel like this one is, like, almost like 50-50 with suffering and blessings. Like you can receive just as many suffering as you can blessings, but it really is the mindset you take on everything, and also like how strong you are. And how strong you are depends on how strong you think you are. Like if you think you're weak, then you are weak, and that's what's going to come of you. But if you think you're strong, then you are strong, and thus you will be able to just survive every trial and every lesson. Anyways, but here's the thing though about spirit. Spirit has only ever existed on a frequency of love and peace. This is why for millions of years spirit did not lose its temper or patience with waiting for life to come. And when life was eventually able to come, it probably could not connect with these love, like with the very first life forms, right? Let's say they were like critters of some kind, or like there's like scientists theorize that like some of the very first beings were like alligator looking ass motherfuckers. So you know, and these beings have like what, like 3 chakra points, and it's like their survival chakra points. They could not access like the 5D in their lifetimes. They just only knew to procreate, to eat, and like I don't know, like the shit too, like but it was just like lower level like survival things, until like I feel like beings like humans showed up, and now like we can have access, like we can connect with spirit on such a personal deep level, but it just depends on how deep we connect with ourselves. So as you can tell, I've connected quite a bit. Like I've been in a state where I've had to connect very deep with myself, and as a result I can connect pretty deep with spirit. I mean, this is like an intimate thing, I would say, for someone to reveal to you, a human or not, its origin story, right? Like I'm telling you guys, like this is how this information is coming to me. Like I'm telling you about how spirit came into existence, and not even came into existence. I think spirit has always been in existence. Spirit is the consciousness of the universe, simply put. So it doesn't matter how you perceive God, God is still God. And I promise you, on other planets, there's a version of God that probably is either similar or very different, but underlying, borderline same things. So it doesn't matter what religion you follow, as long as the religion preaches of like good points, right? Like positive things, like, like, honestly, not a whole lot of examples are coming to mind. Or the examples that are coming to mind, I feel like they require a lot of energy to explain how they work and how they are in alignment with spirit, but how they can be misinterpreted. And that's the other thing too. So many messages that come from spirit have been misinterpreted. Have you ever had the experience of trying to make a new friend and they immediately, like, I don't know, like, I've had experiences in my life where I've tried to get to know people, but they assume the absolute worst in me, or they have a perception of me that isn't even true. And it's just, sometimes that's just what happens, where like people misconstrued, and if we exist in our egos, then we are unlikely to re-examine that information and see it for what it is, which stunts our growth. And also blessings. Like, I feel like one reason to live this life, to be on this planet, is to receive blessings, but you can't receive them if you're existing in an area, in a space that is like counterintuitive to the blessings you would receive. Like, if you think you're always on the right and no one could ever prove you wrong, then there are a lot of things you will never get to learn, because you are in your ego. You are deep in your ego, and your ego isn't gonna allow you to learn shit. Your ego is gonna like misguide you. This is the darker energies I was speaking of. Okay, this is the devil-like energy. With that being said, angels are also real. Angels are a different form of energy, but again, still aligned with spirit. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if these were messengers sent from spirit. People can also be angels as well, right? Like, I feel like I'm an earth angel, and I hope to God that when I die, like, my spirit can still help out people in the same way that Archangel Michael has helped me out, or Archangel Uriel. You know what I mean? Like, I hope that I can provide that same kind of guidance to other beings, because life is so fucking hard. It's so hard. It's ridiculous. And like, we try to normalize it, but sometimes it's like, oh, by design meant to break you. And if you can survive those challenges, baby, this shit coming to you is crazy. Like, I genuinely believe for as much pain that and suffrage you've been through, there is just as much good that is remaining for you. But you have to learn the lessons, and you have to figure out how it aligns with spirit's plan, which can be simple or not. But at the same time too, though, like, it doesn't matter if you perceive life that way or not, you're still going to live through life. Does that make sense? Like, whether you take the good lessons or you take the bad ones, life isn't going to end for you. It's going to keep going. And you can get worse or better, and it's literally just depends on, it's up to you. It's really up to you. But I also feel like sometimes people are like just meant to be obstacles in other people's lives. Like, I know that at birth I was not at birth, but like, I was reincarnated into a family where I grew up next to an enemy from a past life. Okay, I was living with people who were enemies of mine in past lives. Like, by design, they were created to destroy me. And I succeeded. So what does that say? You know what I mean? Like, anyways. So yeah, I went on this long tangent. So let me just circle back. Spirit is the consciousness of the universe. That's how I perceive it. Spirit created some of the very first life forms, and then life kind of took its, like, went on its own and started doing stuff, right? But at the same time, spirit was there watching over everything, every step of the way, ensuring like protection and safety, unless, like, we are meant to learn on our own. Y'all have ever felt blocked, right? Like, sometimes I feel like my intuition is blocked. That it could just be either intuition or like, especially when you get into the more esoteric things in life, right? So I have this channeled message deck right here. I made this deck on my own of channeled messages, and there are times where I try to use these messages to help me to guide me through life. And there's times where the messages just don't make sense to me. I think those are blockages so that I can learn on my own. Okay, like spirit is like a good parent. Sometimes you are meant to hold your child's hand and guide them through life, and sometimes you're meant to let them fall on their face so they can learn. Also, my bestie went and bought me a drink from one of my favorite coffee places. But anyway. But yeah, like I said, like spirit is like any good parent. Sometimes you're just meant to let your kids fall flat on their face and learn. And also think about it. In a lifetime, we experience many different kinds of deaths. Whether they're the deaths of people we know or whether they're internal deaths. Like, you ever experienced an ego death? That shit can be kind of painful. Because you realize you're not actually hot shit. You're like everybody else. But that humanizes you. That makes you like everybody else. More relatable. Kinder, more empathetic. More compassionate. And sometimes that's the way to move through life. It's easier than trying to be right all the time. Anyways, so there's times where you have to go learn on your own, but as long as you're doing the internal work, you will always be guided to where you need to go. As long as you're not trying to use external sources of information to make up for the internal source of information, you will always be where you need to be. Okay, so anybody who's watching this is like, you know, you follow my daily messages. The messages are not meant to guide your day per se. They're actually just meant for, they're like really just meant for fun. You know what I mean? But if you're taking it to the point where you rely on that information more than you do your own internal clockwork, then you're going to end up in a place where you feel lost, confused, and defeated. And even in times like that, there are valuable messages. Okay, there are valuable lessons, I mean to say. So even when you feel defeated, lost, and confused, just know that that was also a lesson. Okay, because that's your chance to go inward. Because you've been going outward. Okay, you've been searching externally for information. And none of it is matching up to how you, like, I don't know, like what you perceived in your head is supposed to be like. So, oh my gosh, actually, I think I'm not really making sense right now. Also, 33. Okay, but I was trying to say, if you've already looked outside of yourself for information, and none of that information is really sticking, none of it feels true to you. Excuse me. So now try something different. Look inwards for information. And trust it. That was the lesson. You've not, like, spirit will always allow you to make your own mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, and this is how I feel like this is how you know you're in a good place or you're with the right type of people, when they don't judge you for the mistakes you've already made and they allow you to make mistakes. With, you know what I mean? But it also too, like 34. Just saw another synchronicity, but that's not to say though, like, within reason, right? Like if you're with somebody who cheats on you constantly, that's different. If you continue to stay with that person, that's just more indicative of like a negative behavior or toxic behavior or belief that you may have on yourself than anything else. As long as, you know, you're making your mistakes and you're still treating people with respect, you should be allowed to learn from them, right? But if you are not treating people with respect, you're, you know what I mean? So treating people with respect, as in um, like learning. You know, I really did just lose my train of thought, but I feel like I've concluded the reason why I started recording this video. I started recording it to say this is Spirit's origin story. This is why Spirit connects with us. Spirit connects with us because Spirit wants to, because Spirit loves us unconditionally. And there was a time in this universe where Spirit had nothing and no one, and now Spirit has all these children to look after. And Spirit is like a parent that just loves kids, so wants more and more. You've ever seen those people who have like 12 kids? Yeah, Spirit's like one of those beings where children, no matter how old they are still children in the eyes of Spirit. So Spirit will always want to take care of us. You just have to allow Spirit to do it. You have to follow Spirit's path of your own choice. So you will always have options to stray away from that, to do other things, to make your mistakes. Because sometimes that's really how we learn. You know what I mean? So, dude. Gosh, I hate being sick. So, anyways, I should probably make another video talking about how we can allow Spirit to help us, because this is something I've been learning um on my own, right? Like, I love to do things intuitively. Again, this could be because I'm a Cancer. Maybe it's just because it's hard for me to follow other people's directions, but I don't like to do things the way other people tell me to do things. I gotta be able to do it on my own. And whenever I do stuff like that, it can turn out well for me because I'm following a tool given to help me navigate through life intuitively. And yeah, I think that's what intuition is. Intuition is like an internal voice, and it's Spirit's voice. It's Spirit voice that we are able to tap into when we align with ourselves to such a degree, when we align with ourselves to the point where we are aligned with Spirit's path for us. And Spirit just wants what's best for you. And it's taken me a really long time to realize that you don't have to do anything in your life that you don't want to do. You know what I mean? Like if being a doctor is not what you want, it's not going to be in the cards for you. Right? Like if it's something that you want to achieve, if it's not like a goal you want to achieve. Like I kept saying, like if it's not something that you're trying to do for a living, then Spirit is never going to force you to do it. But if being like a mechanic is something you really, really want to do, then Spirit will always help. Like, it will literally help as best Spirit can to get you there. To get you there, to find you the money, to get to the school, to do it, right? Like, it's just, if it's something you want, then it's something that's gonna happen until it's out of alignment for you. Like, for me, like, I had a goal of wanting to go abroad. Like, I wanted to go to Japan, South Korea, Thailand, China. Like I just wanted to study or work abroad as like an English teacher. And for the longest time, like that was the plan for me. Like I had done that, and Spirit had guided me all the way through until I got my bachelor's degree, which by the way I recently just graduated. But now I'm in a place in my life where that's kind of like out of alignment for me. Like I could still do it. It's just like the way that the schooling system works, especially in like Asian countries, it's very like, if you guys are familiar with critical pedagogy, then you're most likely familiar with the banking school model. It's this concept that teacher knows all, student is empty vessel, teacher pours information into student. And like this model of teaching, this teaching style is, in my opinion, very toxic because it disregards that the teacher is a person, that the student is a person, that the student has valuable information, not just a teacher, and it dictates like how classrooms are supposed to be set up. And this dictatorship, like this also exists in America, I should say. Like this is not just a uniquely, like anywhere that has like schools most likely teaching this type of model. I just find it to be like not the best for like student teacher relationships. Anyway, personally, I feel like there's a better way to go about teaching. And I'm like at a place where I feel like teaching in that way would go against my moral ethics. And if I don't teach in that way, then I'm not going to be in a job. I won't have a job as a teacher. It's that simple. It's like you either teach the way they want you to teach or you don't have a job. And I feel like I'm out of alignment with that. So I'm being redirected right now. And this has been like a hard process for me because I don't really like change in such a scale. But it's happening for me for my highest good. This is something that the universe is taking care of. I just have to learn how to cooperate within the plan. And I'm learning how to do that. I'm not like a master at it or anything of the sort. But I'll probably upload another video at another time explaining how we can align with the plan that the universe has for us, where I just sort of talk and then whatever information pops in my head, I'm going to speak it and pray that is in alignment with the higher good of all of us. Anyways, guys, this has been Negustita. I'm sick as fuck. I'm gonna go rest. Thank you for watching. Please check out the description box. Okay, bye.